I got a lucky horseshoe.
You're live, it says. Yeah, you do. Some days I need my reading glasses, and some days I can read this text okay. It's weird.
You gave me the Wompy chair.
Yeah, the one with the creaky, squeaky chair. I sure did. I want that chair back, but got to get the squeakies out because, man, it's noticeable on the playbacks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to NFL Saturday, shooting the shift. I'm going to read from today's Daily Reflections. This is a book of reflections by AA members for AA members, and then we'll get into whatever we're getting into, which we don't even know what that is yet, but that's all right. The Circle and the Triangle. The circle stands for the whole world of AA, and the triangle stands for AA's three legacies of recovery: unity and service. Three legacies of recovery: unity and service. Within our wonderful new world, we have found freedom from our fatal obsession. Early in my AA life, I became employed in its services, and I found the explanation of our society's logo to be very appropriate. First, a circle of love and service with a well-balanced triangle inside, the base of which represents recovery through the 12 steps, and the other two sides represent unity and service respectively. The three sides of triangle are equal. As I grew in AA, I soon identified myself with this symbol. I am the circle, and the sides of the triangle represent three aspects of my personality: physical, emotional, sanity, and spirituality, the latter forming the symbol's base. Taken together, all three aspects of my personality translate into a sober, happy life.
That was a 5-sided triangle.
So, did you ever see me drunk back in the day that you know of?
Not that I remember.
So,
I wasn't. I mean, there were a lot of people where we were that were social.
Yeah.
Who was really going to pick out, unless they were just the few people we can remember who always just needed help drunk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I could think of a couple people that always used to help them, and and they just kind of began to rely on like a circle of friends that would say, "Oh, I can go out in public and just be falling down drunk, and they'll help me to a chair, and they'll get me better, and I'll have a ride home." And I mean, how they kept from soiling their clothes without the help of others around them is just unbelievable.
Tell them about that guy at LJ's.
Oh, he's passed now.
Yeah.
I still won't say his name because a lot of people know him. But he and his girlfriend were walking public intox. One was falling down, the other one helped the other up. And it was so bad, the cop was there and he had his door open. He was picking them up. And all I had was my little shirt on from the restaurant I worked at. I had my name, so it was obvious I was working. So I drove up and I just thought, okay. I said, "Jimmy, y'all were supposed to wait at LJ's." And I'm saying this from my car parked safe distance from the police car. And he says, "Were you coming to get it?" I go, "Yes, I was late. I just got off work," and I had my shirt. And for the rest of the ride home, the cop let me take him. And they didn't get picked up, or I don't know if he was going to arrest him. Maybe he felt sorry for him too. But for about the mile drive or two back to where Jimmy lived in the back of a building he was kind of a caretaker for, he could never get the words out. "Did you know we were at LJ's?" He kept saying, "Did you know? Did you?" And he could, even when he was fumbling with the keys and I'm helping him get in the building, he was still trying to say, "Did you know we were drunk?" He could never finish the sentence. He was that drunk. Where she didn't say much at all. "Thank you," a couple times. But they were just a mass. It was one entity, two times drunk, just trying to help keep the other one standing.
And back
Mm.
then, the cops didn't hesitate to put people in the drunk tank if they were out and drunken, staggering the sidewalk, whether they were disorderly or not.
Well,
They just picked them up and threw them in the drunk tank. They had a tank. They had an actual tank called the drunk tank.
well,
I have a lot of friends that spent the night there. Thankfully,
In-
I never had to.
in Fayetteville at the time, because that was 30 years ago, our homeless problem was
Kind of
Not-
non-existent.
not very visible. And of course,
They had,
being
people could put together some kind of hobble.
the compassion of people too
Mhm.
was able to provide.
Yeah.
Because their own situation, rent was much more for it was a very utopian time to be able to
We had no idea.
survive even on minimum wage.
I
And
just thought that was life.
it was a great time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like that were taken care of in a way they wouldn't have experienced anywhere else, as far as how far down a rabbit hole that could have gone for them.
Christy says, hello. My internet is working today. Must be because it's really 3 a.m. LOL. Yeah, that does help.
Got a lot of people shut down for the night by then.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I don't think I did announce. This is my husband, Steve. Welcome, Steve. Steve's a normie. It's disgustipating, but it is what it is.
I quit drinking January 2009. I did have a sip of Mary's wine to tell her it wasn't bad, that it was cheap and it was Kool-Aid. That was Mary's mom, who was 92 or 3 at the time, and she would have a glass of wine when she wanted one. Which
Carol's
was
mom, you mean?
Yeah, Carol's mom. Who did I say?
Mary's mom.
Yeah, Mary was her own mom. And anyway, that I don't even need wine. So there we go. That's the last sip I had.
2009, you said?
Yeah, that's the last time I had a drink to have a drink.
Yeah.
But I was one of those people that drank at most in a year a case of beer. I was a beer a week, a beer a month. I mean, I was just didn't drink much.
Yeah.
But I had plenty of times when I, of course, did get effed up, and that would cure me for a while. That's probably why I didn't do it.
What made you decide to stop, even though, I mean, because you could stop. I mean, but what made you decide to?
I really just thrive on clarity anyway, and there was no benefit health-wise or any other for me to
Yeah.
have. I mean, there are health benefits of wine or beer if you really can do it at that level, which is 1 or 2. And those benefits are not beyond the health benefits of other things in place of them, if they're also done for health. So I just didn't do it. I mean, I haven't eaten meat since June of 1988. So that could have been longer, but I spent 3 or 5 years slowly integrating what being vegetarian would be like and not having to have any drastic change there. By the time I did commit to that, I wasn't missing anything or hungering or desperate for this or that because that diet was easy or used to it. I already had balanced myself there. So
Christy says, hi, Steve.
I don't have a keyboard, but hello.
I was gonna, I could not have married someone who even social drank. It just was not gonna ever work for me. That wasn't gonna work for me.
Well,
So I feel pretty lucky that you
My-
feel as strongly as you do about not drinking.
growing up, I had a lot of friends who smoked, and I don't mind. I mean, I did smoke cigarettes. My last cigarette was December 3rd, 2005. And I didn't realize that, but as a child, my hometown flooded on December 3rd, 1982. It was really devastating to the town. It was the square. It was the main business community. And part of that core that existed at that time never really recovered in the same way. The town did recover and it flourishes now. It's just that it was big, and um, I hope that never happens. If you ever know a town that has flooded, it's a
Did you see those
terrible
pictures of New York
disaster.
City?
No,
Underwater, some parts of it. New York City.
yeah. Well, the hurricane in 9 or 10, what that big hurricane that hit
Sandy.
north, Sandy, was an eye opener to people.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, we're everywhere.
That's true.
We're in the floodplains and the high
That's true.
ground.
They have the Hudson there. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just, whew, it is
Yeah.
scary when you think about if there is going to be climate change, and
In
we
the
we can
ocean.
blame it on ourselves, but we also haven't been around enough to know that some of it could be cyclic, and 10% of the world's population lives on the coast and in those regions. They will have to move
If it
in
does.
200 years if this is a trend that continues.
Yeah.
But that's all I know. You've got more stuff on your.
Has a bush fire right behind my house a few days ago.
Oh yes, Australia's
Oh.
the worst. I think it's the worst that has
Ooh.
ever been.
You know, I would imagine Australia is a lot like Southern California. There's no way to control the brush. It springs up overnight, springs up tall, and it dies by the afternoon. And that's what you have to contend with. And it's just fuel for fire.
Maybe so.
The fire season has started early. Yeah, October is they have what's called the Santa Anas in California. And I used to live up in the mountains, inland in San Diego County. That's how I got my last job. Was there was a big fire on the Indian reservation, and I volunteered for cleanup.
You know the difference hemispherically is that in our winter we're closer to the sun, but the tilt of our Earth is away from, because of the angle. Because of that, the light is stretched out. We have our winter during the apogee when we're closer. And unfortunately, the southern hemisphere has its summer because the seasons are reversed during that time. So they're experiencing summer during the closest approach to the sun.
Okay.
So when things get out of balance, it's very noticeable.
Right. Our fires can go for weeks, 900 plus hectares, whatever that is.
Yeah, hectares.
Hectares gone in a matter of days. Yeah. Maybe not to that level, but
well,
it's pretty similar.
I think the fires in general in Oregon and Washington were larger than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And California and Texas.
Yeah. And they
and Mexico.
Yeah. Over time they've gotten worse.
And Canada.
Yeah. Oh,
remember the news that of the north, all the haze that came down from the fires in Canada. I mean, it is we're not there. We don't think about it, but it's big.
Yeah. Well, I'd say we kind of shot the shot.
I guess so. I didn't add very much, but I did drink some good coffee.
This is good coffee. Is that a new pot?
Yeah, which I, of course, am not even using the handle. I always do this.
Well, I think that's. What do you think, Chrissy? Have you? Oh man, let's see. Indigenous Australians knew how to keep it, under control by the controlled burning. Since they won't let them do it anymore, it's gotten so bad. Yeah,
that's true here in the United States too.
Yeah.
Before these breadbaskets of the world were created globally.
Yeah.
Russia, America, Europe, those plains and those wildernesses, I mean, the indigenous people knew how to interact with that, how to gather
Yeah.
and do controlled burns. It was a way of life, and it's when you upset the balance and you have to learn all over again.
Hmm.
Take us a couple hundred years. Hopefully, if we make it.
Hopefully we'll make it.
I mean, somebody will
I
make
mean,
it.
if we don't make it, we deserve not to, though. I don't know.
We-
That's a harsh thing to say, but sometimes when I look at what we're doing to this earth, it's.
I mean, we hope that doesn't happen.
we have not earned our right to be here necessarily.
Well, I was just
This
going
earth is so forgiving; it's amazing.
I was
But
going to
still,
say,
I'm sure there comes a reckoning.
biosphere Earth. What we know of. There's got to be tens of billions of other places in the universe, but we don't know.
Yeah,
None of our
we don't know.
none of our governments would let us know openly until it happens at such scale that they have to kind of just fold. I don't see that. I don't see any of them wanting to fold. Whenever they get a chance to show how unwilling they are to fold, we see it in the news, and most of them are. The recent meme on the most least religious nations of the world, and it included Canada, Australia, and
Okay.
most of Europe. We're also the most peaceful. And I thought, well, yes, in a sense, but I believe that if you want to go on acceptance or the legal recording of it, you skip two pretty non-religious places. Maybe the people are religious, but China and North Korea are not
By law.
known to by law allow any religion. So if you put
Yeah.
them in the least religious, now the people probably are, but
Now you can have religion, but it has to be government sanctioned.
well, I'm just saying their people are very innocent of the actions, but I wouldn't call them necessarily unviolent. But China hasn't been in a lot of wars, but they've been in a lot of border skirmishes, and they have a lot of maritime issues going on now.
Hmm.
The Straits of Malacca there, the Indian Ocean coming around between Malaysia and Indonesia and
That's
around
true,
up
Christy.
into China. It's where a lot of their commerce comes from.
Yeah.
And that's in the area of, and why they're having such temperament to what's going on in the world, and why they're skirmishes, and why things are very seemingly out of balance, and how we're going to restore that or keep that. Or I think we're at a point where we can't really let the pot boil over, because everybody needs everybody else as a customer. When you think about it, who's gonna make all our little tits and tats that we get, and we really can't let that pot fall down. We won't have shoelaces for our soldiers.
Christy says, we don't need to save the planet. It's got at least 4 billion years left. We need to save ourselves. That's true.
That is true.
That is true.
And sadly, it's actually easier instead of harder. Our system won't allow that sort of thing. Just like social programs, there are many ways to help homeless and others that could happen, but our social structure says, oh no, this goes into the realm of the money pot, and that's who's going to hold on to that and can't release that. Our voting districts are going to be broken up into this, and oh yes, we're this party or that party, but this part of this city has been crumbling for 60 years, and not an F1 of us has done anything to see that change or have any kind of rejuvenation. It kind of discounts the foundation either of them are standing on, when that could have really had 2 or 3 chances to improve on itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my look at it. Watching that video on parts of the city like Detroit, like Gary, Indiana, and other places that,
yeah.
I mean, you can do that anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a popular guy who runs around, and he He filmed small towns in Arkansas and other
Mm-hmm.
surrounding
like that
states that have gone down over time or kind of shrank. And it's some of it's sad, but some of it's very endearing. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's everywhere. That's a different aspect than the
Mhm.
bigger population areas where those
Yeah.
cities don't have to have. I mean, how do people afford to live?
It is
There's got to be
mind-boggling.
grace involved, because I don't even know how I understand anything or take part. I did go to college some. I didn't graduate, but all through school, everything was, if I learned anything, it was just by accident or I mean, I would struggle and I would figure it out and I was interested, but a lot of times got on a tangent and I would just read in the book where I wanted to and look at stuff and think that was neat. And didn't care about the lesson and go, I was interested. I don't know. I should have been home fooled, but, or some kind of private instead of public school. I was just, but I mean, I don't know how people make it. How do people, I think a lot of people are living beyond their means, and I think that's everywhere, but how do you keep extending
Yeah.
on a credit ladder
Mm-hmm.
And I feel for people because I don't think they know a way out. And I don't know if I
Yeah.
could figure it out.
Yeah. I don't know if I could either.
I think energy as a commodity is one of our biggest problems, but it's the one thing that we all need. If research into alternative forms, like for motor cars or for transportation, is interesting, but just going electric without a backup is just we're going to burn all the oil over here while you charge your car, but it's still percentage or natural gas or other things. And
Or the coal that it takes to fire
the move
electricity.
in America, because most of our clean energy is from natural gas, is to tell us now that our gas stoves are unhealthy, are the cause of our asthma. And it's to move us all to electrical appliances, bring the natural gas to industry to create the electricity to sell to us. It's not a solution. It's just moving the coins from one pocket to another
Well, I'm
while
keeping my
reaching
gas
more into
stove.
ours.
That's that.
We're in rural. We have a propane tank. And the difference, if you ever wanted to know, between natural gas and propane is natural gas is at low pressure and it's through a network. Propane is stored in a tank under pressure. So you do have to modify each stove or appliance accordingly.
That's true too. Christy says, we have so much free natural energy, but the oil companies don't like it.
They hate it.
And they could be the pioneers. They have the resources to be the pioneers of this whole shoot match.
Think about electric cars. If these gas stations would put in, we need a government action on electric car batteries, only for the purpose of, if you're driving down the road and you need a charge, you pull in, you pull out a part of your battery or an interchangeable part, you plug it in and you pull out another one that's charged. You have a contract that say you buy so many years or so many miles at a time, and you're part of that battery, because those materials that the batteries are made of are rare, or they're finite, and they're also refined. And the industry of remanufacturing from that level will be easier from the raw materials. And then everyone's participating in this. Our infrastructure will stay similar because the petrol stations will become the charge stations.
Yeah.
And won't be the only ones, but it seems to make sense that can integrate into a system that's already in place, how people operate.
Yeah.
And it also kind of keeps the coin in the pocket of the people who have the most lobbying power. And So
Mhm.
it satisfies both things of the energy transition.
Yeah.
I mean, not just sun and alternative. There are alternatives that would this UAP information that's coming out globally about things like that is also about energy.
Unidentified phenomena, by the way.
Aerial phenomena.
Aerial
UFOs
phenomena.
is,
Yeah.
but some of the devices and the energy devices do have effects of being able to power things, but some of this idea is over unity, and some people think it's completely impossible, and they'll prove it. And I kind of think of them as the fake news people, in as much as for a while anything you controversially placed on Facebook had this big fake news banner over it. This has been reviewed to be partially, negative or energy, does have a set of rules, but I believe there are people that have a way to produce more power than the device puts into it and have an alternative, like over unity is one of them, to power devices and to power homes and to power. Nothing is a complete replacement, but you put petrol, fossil fuels in the place they need to be. I mean, instead of on the top burner.
We have charge stations at shopping centers and random ones. Funny thing is, they are still powered by coal. Yeah. Coal stations. Yeah.
In the United States, I think
non-renewable.
We are down to around
That we know of.
60% fossil fuel powered grid and 40% alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Nuclear is somewhere in the few percentile.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Japan with their horrible, I think they were still just a couple percent, maybe 5%, maybe 7%, I don't know. But China is in the 50, 60% coal, not fossil fuels. I don't know how much fossil fuels. The Three Gorges is supposed to be a great dam, but it's potentially very terrible disaster if it isn't managed.
Well managed.
Because of, and you hope it's well managed because of the effort. It's just that we've learned how tough the hydroelectric is on the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
There'll never be another Hoover Dam in America because of that.
Yeah.
But I guess, is it Lake Mead has gone up and down over time?
Probably. And the irony of Musk calling his cars Tesla, when Tesla had a design for the energy, amazes me. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. One. Coal is one of Australia's biggest exports. It's going to take years for us to switch because polys are in the pockets of the coal companies.
Sure. And unfortunately, there's also a source in Australia for nuclear enrichable uranium, probably the largest outside of the other largest source. I don't really know. I know that has something to do with why there's now an interest in, besides strategically, of Australia having nuclear submarines. And probably joining the ballistic missile standoff fleet, as terrible as that is, but it has to do with I think that's why there was this interaction where it upset France because they were going to supply them with the diesel powered, and we moved in to step them. So that obviously there's probably going to be some centrifuge and some enrichment forms probably taking place in Australia so that their industry to support that can come online.
I want to interrupt that. I just thought of a question that I had for you. I'm looking at 30 years sober in February, and I almost didn't make it. I was real close to buying a bottle of wine,
right,
and drinking it.
I told Carol one time,
He did.
she wanted to have a drink. I said, I'd rather you slept with somebody than have a drink because you can get over that. What I mean is, I meant that don't have a drink. You've done so good. You've done that. But you know what I meant by that. It's just
No, I really didn't. I want you to clarify.
I just meant how bad that would be. I mean, I really didn't mean that, but I was trying to make a point.
And
of course, that isn't what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that you're not going to do that, and you don't need that, I hope. But so why do you need the other? It's just so easy.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're touching on part of our behavior that this is delicate for me to say, but when someone takes their life, how I've known people who tried to stop people that didn't make it, and that is a sore that they carry that's just open. It never closes. But so many people can be stopped or can be, and those decisions, those teeter-totters were on are the same kind of, if you got through that, then you don't need a drink. Then you're like, oh, I can't believe I was going to get a wine yesterday, get a thing. That's what I'm trying to reveal.
Okay.
I don't have the vocabulary, and I don't think it's from education. I think it's just that I probably didn't read as much as I could have. A lot of the books I bought and hope to read, I get 4 or 5 chapters in, or something comes up, and then it's a year or two before I get back to. And that's me. I think we all wish when we buy a book, we also wish for the time. I think that's why people like Audible and other things. But as good as I think that is, I think they don't read at all, and they're all Audible from then on.
The thought of me starting to drink again, how does that make you feel?
Just, we all have plans that we talk about and we don't do, and everybody say, oh yeah, the thing they're going to do. And when someone drinks that has been that long, I mean, think 20, 30 years, I would know how much of a letdown that is. There would be twofold. I would know for me that, wow, you've done that. And then for yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's so many we get to a percentage of what we want to do, or dreams or skills or hobbies. I want to fix some more electronics and they're just junk. It's just something, an activity I enjoy. It's not any monetary benefit. Sometimes there is. Sometimes I can turn that to that direction, but it's just because it's relaxing and I enjoy it. And I think the other hobbies and things that Carol does, she enjoys, and just for the mind to surface and exercise that type of control that you slip back in is, it delivers a payload.
Yeah.
But then you can't say all is lost once you've done that. You still have the nature to go on and to get over that. I never had alcoholism where I had to have that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if part of that was just my drive to do other things.
Yeah, you were a lucky man. 30 years. That's right. It'll be February 21st, 2024.
That's pretty good.
And
how would you think?
I'm not going to put this on. I have these by me because I'm waiting for that birthday.
Oh,
that's my sober birthday, and we're going to celebrate with everything.
Tiaras.
Yeah,
man, those are hot.
Yes, indeed.
There's Luke.
Well, I was going to read the chat here. Get my glasses on.
Yeah, you've missed a lot of stuff, Carol.
I have. I get what you mean. If you can get through that one bad dad day, there is a new one tomorrow. That's so true.
Absolutely
it's
true.
It's late. My iPad hates me.
Well, I think it.
Yes, we've had a meeting. I close meetings with a moment of silence for those that are out there still suffering in their addiction and those we've loved and lost to it. And then followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Christy, thanks for showing up. I appreciate you
Yes,
very, very,
thank
very
you.
much.
I hope we've got all of your chats. All I see is, well, it's hazy from this distance. I got old eyes.
Peace, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Did you get her last chat?